Hello everybody and welcome back for episode 75 of our Terraria 1.2.4.1 Let's Play, and now that we've gotten all the numbers out of the way, how are you all doing? So I'm back as a ninja. As you might remember, on the last episode we actually left off where I had just finally completed my ninja set with one big mission ahead of me yet, which was to try and accomplish however I can to get as many types of bait as I could, because the basic goal here is you want to fish up all the fish, and right now the way I'm standing I look kind of like I have jet wings, which is pretty sweet. But, you know, we're going to try and do our best to accomplish the goal of being a fishing master, an angling master, and we're going to capture some squirrels and bunnies, because they're just there. And honestly, I just want to grab whatever I can as far as animals go, because who knows what I might be able to do with them, right? Maybe I'll build a zoo at some point or something. So, the first thing that I want to do before we get started, and today's episode is going to be a lot of wandering about, hopefully in a good way, but we'll see, I suppose. But the first thing I want to do is I want to build the best fishing pole that I can craft out of the objects that I have. And the way that I'm going to do that is by heading up here to my golden chest where I keep all of my good stuff. And I'm going to take out 8 Crimtane bars, and I'm going to drop them off right there. And then I'm going to go over to my anvil, of course, and then we're going to look over here. It's the Flesh Catcher is our 22% fishing power fishing pole. So there we go. We now have a Flesh Catcher. It's a weird name, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to use that for all of our fishing needs when that does come up. And for now, I guess we can just store the one I have. I don't honestly feel like figuring out a place to put it, so I'm going to put it in my piggy bank for the moment. I'll sort that out later. So I've got a few bunnies, I've got a lightning bug, and a couple of squirrels. I don't really need stars as far as I'm aware right now, but we'll just put this right down here. And my main goal at this point is we're going to go ahead and look for a mushroom biome. Now, in the past, that wouldn't have been any issue for me, and not for the reason that you're thinking we're going to look for it, obviously, because, you know, I've got all the mushrooms I could need right here. The goal is I'm actually looking for a rare and magical truffle worm, which is what we're going to be using to try and trigger the boss of the next endeavor, I guess, is what we're going to call it, because we still haven't had the lunar update yet, which is something that I was kind of holding off making videos. I thought that perhaps it was coming out already, but it turns out maybe not. So we're going to cut our losses. We're going to start looking forward to perhaps fighting a big old fish of some kind, and we're going to do our best to go get the worm that is necessary to summon that fish, and that is the only purpose of the truffle worm, in case you're wondering. It is just to summon, I already forgot its name, the big old fish. You know, you've probably seen him by now. So we're going to look for wherever that mushroom biome left off. So in the past, I had all my map pretty much revealed. As I've mentioned in a prior episode, unfortunately, it went away because of reasons that I can't really predict or comment on, and that's okay, I suppose. We'll spend today looking about on the map and trying to do our best to reveal more parts of the map, because, well, it's just going to be necessary, isn't it? Not only revealing the map is necessary, but also on our way to revealing the map, we can use that time to try and collect any bugs that might show up, because I've been looking into where bugs spawn and what they spawn as, where you could find them, how you catch them, all that stuff. And I think we'll actually not have too much trouble finding them, provided I can continue to stand in places that actually make sense, and not where I just went, because this is exactly where I went on the last episode, and it did not help me out a whole lot. So let's take a quick look at our map again, and we'll actually formulate and chart a path here. I think what I need to do is head down to where some of this light is over in the corner. So we're gonna head down and to the right and hope that that actually is where we're gonna go. And we're gonna get caught in all the cobwebs, of course. So that's just what we do, I suppose. So, on the way down, I suppose we could talk about some of the things that have been new recently. I had an unexpected pseudo-development. I wasn't actually planning on necessarily getting one of these for quite a while, but I actually found myself in a position where it made sense, and I bought myself a Wii U. Was not thinking I was going to have a Wii U, like, at all for, like I said, a long time, but, you know, the air of Bayonetta 2 coming up, it was sort of making me want one a little bit, and I happened to be in Best Buy and found that they were selling a bundle that actually seemed like one that was worth buying, because it had the new Super Mario Bros. U with the DLC included as the pack-in game, and then they were also doing a deal where if you buy, or they weren't, but Club Nintendo was doing a deal where if you buy Mario Kart 8, which is basically one of the games that I would have wanted anyway, You also get to choose one of 4 games for free, and one of those games happened to be Pikmin 3, which was like the other one game that I would have wanted. Maybe also Wind Waker HD, because, well, I guess I kind of wanted to play that again. I actually enjoyed Wind Waker quite a bit. Anyway, let's see where we are on the map. Okay, I think I still want to... I want to head straight down now at this point. So I'm pretty sure there was a mushroom biome around there somewhere. God, I'm so OP right now. These freaking enemies are... they don't have a chance, basically. They're all going to get wrecked. But buying the Wii U is certainly one of the strangest, if not the strangest, console purchase that I've experienced thus far. Because I've been very confused about my position on this console. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to flame Nintendo or have any kind of hyperbolic reaction. I don't intend to start any fights in the comments, so nobody get the wrong idea here. But I didn't really have a super high opinion of the Wii U. I really didn't think that the whole tablet thing made a lot of sense in quite a few ways, and it was sort of looking like the console was failing, and I wasn't super against that console, or super against that concept, rather. But well, I guess all it really takes is a couple of good-looking games to kind of change your mind, doesn't it? Because between the promise or hope that maybe one day there will be a new Metroid game, and again, no actual details about that, I'm just kind of holding out hope, the actual details about there being a new Zelda game that looks pretty fantastic, although, again, super early in concept from the E3 footage and stuff, so really don't know much of anything about if it'll actually look like that trailer. But the very fact that they're going in an open-world style direction sort of looked hopeful to me. The fact that there's Bayonetta coming up, like I said, those bunch of things sort of made me say, well, you know what? There's Mario Kart, there's Pikmin. Maybe that's enough for me to be okay with this idea for the moment. And, you know, I don't hate it. I had mixed feelings, though. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a little bit of an uphill battle for me. I'm not a crazy huge Nintendo fan the way that a lot of people are, but I definitely have a lot of great memories with Nintendo games. I mean, the formational ones, of course. So it's not like I'm out to bash them just for the fun of it or anything. It's I want the best for Nintendo, but they seem like they're acting in ways that seem counterintuitive to me most of the time. And the tablet thing didn't really help. But I will admit, there were moments where I was both interested and perplexed, as well as also just somewhat confused about the necessity of such a thing. Because when I started using it, I was like, well, which screen do you want me to look at? Because it didn't seem like it made a lot of sense, because it was telling me to just, like, look at the TV sometimes, look at the tablet other times. There was a big ol' long update for the console when I first got it hooked up, and that required the progress bar to show up on the tablet, but not on the TV, if I remember correctly, which just seemed really strange to me. I kind of felt like, well, what I was expecting anyway was that... Oh, that was, I think, a thing I wanted to capture, wasn't it? Wait, what is that? Oh, those are spores, I think, coming out of an enemy. Yeah, I basically just wanted a very simple experience, and for the most part, I wanted to mostly pretend the tablet wasn't even there. But at the same time, being able to play Mario Kart in bed with the TV off, I guess that's kind of cool. It's certainly not a thing that would make or break the concept for me. I mean, honestly, if they just didn't have the tablet, that would have been fine as well. But it's kind of like having a DS attached to a console, which then made me wonder, why didn't they just let you link your 3DS to your console? I guess the technology wasn't quite there, and they didn't want to issue out a new DS rollout just yet, although they are wont to do that pretty frequently, I would say. But yeah, I've also seen some good things in the way of, like, this Pro controller that kind of just looks like a 360 controller, and if we get that set up with Bayonetta, I think there could be good times to be had. I'm not really sure what the long-term prospectus is as far as the Wii U, whether or not it's going to be something that keeps my interest for very long, or whether it's just something that's going to be here for a little while. But, you know, I want to embrace all of the sides of the industry if I can. I just might not play it as much as a lot of people would. Also, you know, that has a lot to do with the fact that they're just sort of really backward about how they handle some of these pretty commonplace features, you know, primarily internet capabilities and multiplayer. Everything I've heard, though, seems to hint that Mario Kart works pretty well, so I guess maybe they're headed in the right direction, and that's cool. I haven't actually tried anything yet as far as multiplayer, but I look forward to doing that soon. And the game actually ran beautifully. It looked very nice. I only played a few minutes of it while I was just getting things set up and running. But I have very few negative things to say about that game in particular. You know, if Nintendo does anything right, they do their primary franchises right. It just seems to be that they mostly just do their primary franchises at all, which is maybe a little distressing sometimes. But again, I'm not trying to start up junk with people. I'm not trying to get anybody riled up, is what I'm saying. I just want to chime in on my personal opinions, and I want to like it. You know, in a weird way, and this is also going to sound pretty divisive, I also have a PS4 now, but I feel like I'm probably going to play my Wii U more than my PS4 at the moment, aside from the odd indie game that requires it. Because as far as exclusives go, there wasn't really much. I mostly bought it on the idea of there being a bunch in the future, which I know there will be. The Wii U, though, I mean, less so. I'm not really positive about how things are going to turn out long-term. I know the PlayStation 4 will be used for quite a while. It's just, we're not at the point yet where there's enough really good stuff, and maybe I purchased it a little bit early. I guess I just was excited to want to have one, because, you know, at that point I hadn't had any of the new quote-unquote next-gen consoles, and I know that's not the proper terminology, because they are current-gen consoles now. But all those things being said, I still have absolutely no interest in buying an Xbox One. The one thing that I was interested in was Dead Rising 3, which is now coming out on Steam in September, so yeah, sign me up. I want it on PC where it won't be a bother, I guess, and I won't need to pay a bunch of money for it. So we actually did navigate a mushroom biome, by the way. I'm sure you probably noticed. And there wasn't anything in the way of truffle worms or really anything worth capturing over there, unfortunately. So I guess we're at the mercy of RNG for this particular part of the game. And you know what that's starting to make me think is perhaps we're going to go in the direction of needing to grind more, which makes me a little bit flustered. Well, not that flustered, but just a little bit. I would generally prefer if we could get some of these things to be repeatable. What can I do with these fish? Can I just capture these fish? Because we actually had... Yeah, this is like old school fishing. I guess you can't actually do things that way. Just like grab the fish out of the water with a net. It's not really... not doable, huh? Oh well, what are you going to say? What other things were there about the Wii? I'm trying to think of... The whole update and setup process was a little bit cumbersome. I was kind of hoping when I set up the thing, it would just be kind of like, you know, take it out of the box, plug it in the TV. You know, the general premise that I think pretty much every console's followed. But now that we're in the internet age, everything needs to update a lot. And things within other things need to update, because, you know, if I wanted to watch Netflix, and I know this is, like, not really necessary, because I have about 400,000 devices that can all watch Netflix. But just saying, if you were a household whose first ability to watch Netflix kind of hinged on the idea of getting it from the Wii U, well, you've got a little bit of a run ahead of you. And then combining that with the rather cumbersome idea of grabbing this free game that I was promised from the Nintendo promo for buying Mario Kart 8. That was also a little bit cumbersome. More than a little bit cumbersome, honestly. It was very cumbersome. Because I did not have there's a Nintendo ID, and then there's also a Nintendo Club Nintendo membership, and I had neither of those two memberships. So upon purchasing and setting up this console, while I was waiting for it to update, I also took the time to start setting those things up, and I needed to be configuring things in all different places, logging in, logging out of things, making passwords there. I had to fill out a survey at one point. And I guess, honestly, I can't really argue, because I got a, you know, free, like, $45 value game out of it, so it's like, you know, whatever. But at the same time, if you were super psyched and, like, maybe this was somebody's birthday or something, I could imagine... Well, I don't think anybody's hearts would be broken, but it would certainly take a little bit of the fun out of the thing when it's like, oh, well, you can play the game just in, like, 3 hours. I've also had people tell me that my experience was maybe slightly anomalous, and if that's the case, then that's totally cool as well. But from I think the majority of people that I actually spoke to person, it was not all that crazy to say that it was a little bit of a wait. And it's just funny that, like, the more convenience we get, the less convenience we get in some ways, because there's so many free, quick, fancy, like, awesome things that we have that seem so great on the surface, and then it's like they all take a lot of time. And I'm just thinking, what happens to us if we all start getting data caps, and, well, I just bought my Wii U, but it needs to update and download a 2 gigabyte update, and I'm already over my data cap, so maybe it's going to cost me $50 to play my new game console that I just bought. Anyway, this isn't intended to be a salty rant or anything, but it makes me worry a lot, because it just seems like so many of the different publishers, console developers, and all of those types of things, they all seem to be going in that direction. And just as of today, actually, EA has made a new payment style where they're doing sort of like an Adobe Creative Suite type of thing where you can just subscribe to grab a bunch of their games in like a package at a monthly subscription fee. And I was just thinking about, well, like, you guys already kind of nickel and dime us a bit with the way you do your DLC model. And it sort of is making me think, is this, like, are you testing the market to see if it'll bear the concept of maybe just eventually rolling over to that sort of a payment model where maybe you don't charge people for games anymore that way. You just sort of, you get a subscription and you pay monthly, and then you have access to a catalog of games, sort of like package deals with cable companies, which is sort of a nightmare, right? Because it means they get control over what you get to look at or do or whatever, and basically can just jack up the prices whenever they want, and if you really want a certain thing, well, you kind of don't really have a lot of control over it. And at face value, you know, and I sort of mentioned this on Twitter today, like, doesn't really seem like a big deal, of course, because it wasn't even that expensive, all things considered. I think it was $5, and you get access to, like, 4 or 5 games for the length of time that you're subscribed. But I'm thinking, like, what if this starts to escalate in price? What if more publishers get involved? All of a sudden, you're going to be dealing with a situation where lots and lots of people are asking for monthly subscription fees for everything all the time, and I've already got enough bills that happen monthly. I don't really want or feel very excited by the idea of just adding and adding and adding and adding onto all the things that I need to have on automatic recurring payments, where, you know, if I don't watch my credit card statements from one month to the next, all of a sudden I'm getting charged a bunch of money. I don't even know where it went. Obviously, that's not really my style. I actually do check my payment stuff very frequently, but I know not everybody is that way, and, you know, maybe I'm away for a week or something when I happen to get that stuff happening, and I don't have an easy access to, well, okay, I guess I can't really say I don't have easy access ever, because online banking and stuff, but if I just didn't look for a while, I guess I could be sorely disappointed if I go to find out that, well, I'm away and some payment stuff needs to be dealt with, and I can't necessarily do it conveniently right now. I'm just imagining all the nightmare scenarios, I guess, because I tend to have a bit of a pessimistic style of thinking, and it hopefully is, you know, prepare for the worst and hope for the best type of thing. It's good-natured, it's just, you know, cynical. So, for what it's worth, you know, I hope that none of these things end up turning into anything too serious, but I do tend to think in that manner anyway. So I haven't found, like, a single thing in Terraria that's worth grabbing as far as bait. I've been really hoping that we might find some of these worms, but not much showing up here. So this might end up just being clear some of the map, and then also clear more of the map next time episode. And hopefully that's cool with you guys. So it's just not a whole lot going on here, apparently. Where did we actually end up here? So I basically just made a tunnel in a way that isn't really all that helpful. I found a bunch of materials that I could probably pull out of the walls, but at this point, you know, how many blocks of material do I really need, right? I should also just, like, carve out new paths and stuff, because I feel like a lot of these are just dead ends. And I don't really see much in the way of a direction to go that's, like, that I carved out through everything. I'd probably gotten off into the wrong direction. Sort of one of the downsides here when you're tunneling around sort of aimlessly looking for things. You end up going down a long, wrong path, and then you're never really going to find or accomplish anything for the length of time that you're doing this. So, I'm thinking, should I head back to my house and just sort of cut my losses and go in a different direction? Or maybe I should just see how close I am. Oh, okay. I was going to say, see how close I am to the borders of the map, and what was that? Oh, it was a beetle. Okay, that's fine. Could always use to collect more beetle parts, because they're actually pretty useful for building a shop in Wind Waker. That's not what I was going to say. They're useful for making dyes and things. And I do have a dream of someday owning a shop full of all the dyes that are possible in Terraria. Does seem like a pretty nice thing to have. And I'm digging the fact that I'm still a ninja, by the way, and I would like to experiment with ninja dyes and see what happens with it. Sounds like a new, I was gonna say Tecmo game, I suppose. It's not really a thing anymore, is it? A Team Ninja game, and Ninja Dies, or, I don't know. Killer is Dead is kind of what I was thinking, something along that line. So where am I going? All of these are dead ends. like, all of these. That's a dead end, that's a... Okay, it's a little nub that doesn't seem to go anywhere. Also called a dead end. And in order to dig myself back out... Oh my god, leave me alone! I should have brought my crow out. I was just worried that the crow would mess things up for me in case it started eating lightning bugs when I wanted to actually capture them with my net, and that's no fun. So I'm gonna go... Where was it? Up, and up, and up, and left. And it looked like there was a torch there, but it's just randomly cut off for some reason, so I guess that was the length to the side that my camera could handle things. Really curious what's going to happen with this lunar update, whether or not it's going to be drastic enough of a change that I would need to consider something like, you know, re-rolling a character or anything like that. Also very interested to know if it will signal the actual end of updates, because I've heard a few conflicting opinions on that idea, and I don't know if the developers have actually come out and said specifically that, you know, that will be officially the final update. Well, I would assume that update would then be followed by a few bug fix patches, which, you know, just kind of happens with just about everything. But as far as being feature complete, I'm curious to know if that would be the end of such a thing. And, you know, I've also seen some weird stuff about, is there going to be a Terraria 2? In the past, it seemed like that was definitely happening, but then I've also seen some conflicting stuff there as well. Everything's up in the air. But I guess if things get boring in the Terraria front, well, we could always eventually move over to Starbound. I've just been giving that a lot of time to percolate, because as far as I'm aware, Starbound is still not quite in a position where it's probably worth spending a ton of time on. But at least we're not losing our save every couple of days now, because that was pretty frustrating. Not like I can be upset about that, considering I knew what I was getting into when I was actually playing it. We were playing that with complete, full disclosure that those characters would be deleted, but, you know, still, the fact that I can play it and not lose my characters is nice. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not a negative thing, it's just an additive positive thing. Okay, there are way too many brambles in this tunnel, and not enough critters. I really need some more critters for the advancement of all things good and wonderful. Seriously, what are you doing, brambles? Oh, we've got rain outside again. Smears have been just raining non-stop in this game. Let's look for some worms, because I'm told that those can show up on the grass. I don't know if that means fireflies might not be able to show up at all, but I guess I'll just kind of, like, swing my net around and walk away. The other thing that I was kind of wondering about is apparently that truffle worm that I was looking for down in the mushroom biome, it sort of acts sort of like a crystal lizard from Dark Souls, where if you get close to it and you don't grab it fast enough, it'll despawn. Which is both frustrating and funny, I guess, because, well, frustrating, obviously, because you lose it, and funny because it's kind of rare, so actually not very funny, mostly frustrating. Goldfish, I know how you work. What about any other worms, or are we kind of, like, good on that front? How's the worm front looking? Anything? Anything at all? Stars? And I don't know if worms can spawn on non-grass tiles. I guess this is like a perfect area for them up here, right? Nope. Apparently not. Worms hate that spot right there for some reason. Oh, I forgot to talk to this lady, too. I think she might be able to sell me some kind of fishing pole, maybe, right? Steampunk hat, shirt, Blendomatic, steampunk boiler, used for special crafting. Have I bought that? That seems like a thing I don't have, actually. And teleporters, cogs, and green solution. Alright, well, I know how all that stuff works. No surprises there. Imagine you could just go up into the trees and, like, catch a bird out of a nest and then, like, feed it to the piranhas. That would be brutal, wouldn't it? I don't know why that just jumped into my head, but I was just thinking, like, what kind of other places could we take fishing to that would be, like, unexpected and interesting? And if you start getting into, like, carnivorous piranha fish eating living, beautiful, wonderful creatures, well, I don't know who really wins in that scenario. I guess people who enjoy, you know, sadistic things like that. That's not really my style, though. So we're just gonna, I guess, kill some dudes right here for the moment, while I just see if there's anything worth talking about in here. I guess we're still gonna have to hunt for a few items. I mean, my goal for this whole series was to try and get all the items, right? And as fast as I've tried to keep up with episodes, they've, and I do know that not that fast is the answer to that. Seems like they've always outpaced me in terms of, like, oh, this patch today added 675 new items. So, you know, well, you guys play a lot of Terraria. No biggie, right? You'll just get those all tomorrow. Yeah, kind of a biggie. I mean, I don't think I could probably get all of those. I'm gonna still give it a shot, though. You know, I have like 200 plus hours played in this game. This was like 230 something or other, which seems like not a lot in some scenarios, but like if you really think about it, it's like a whole lot. And that goes back through the many characters that I've created and moved on from. So, you know, there's been many lives lived out in this little procedurally generated world. Well, little at times, big at other times. It's a little big planet, I guess you could say. Oh, yeah, that's a thing that I'm excited for, by the way. We haven't talked since E3, and my goodness, I think that was the most hyped that I was out of that whole thing. I'm not sure why today is, like, E3 talk day, but, you know, what I think of at times. But I love Little Big Planet. Seriously, it's one of my very favorite series ever, and I am super eager to find out what they're going to do with a new Little Big Planet. The stuff they showed in video form was not the most compelling. It looked fun, of course, because, like, Little Big Planet is just kind of intrinsically reasonably fun, but I don't think I got any particular, you know, awesome ideas from what they were showing off. It just looked like, hey, Little Big Planet, and that's enough for me, actually. So, you know, I guess I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I can look at a bunch of ideas like the Zelda one and be like, you know, it looks pretty cool, but I'm kind of waiting on that. And then I can look at Little Big Planet and be like, looks pretty bad, but I'm super psyched for it. Yeah, whatever. I guess we all can't really escape our inherent biases. What is that thing right there that just fell down into the water? Is this... Oh, it's a mouse. That's something I don't think I've seen at this point. It totally looked like a weird worm, didn't it? I did not get much of a mousy effect from that, for whatever reason. What's this? Is that another worm? Oh, it's a worm. That one looked like a worm, so I guess I can't really be upset. Let's kill this treasure chest. Oh, and I also have to do some of these fishing quests so I can earn myself some of the various rewards, because all the best items as far as fishing goes come from repetitious reusing of the fishing concept, right? So we've got to get like a golden fishing pole, and hopefully a golden shovel, and a golden trowel. I don't know, that's not a thing. We've got to get all of our sweet objects from fishing, and we've got to spend time doing quests doing that. But in order to do the fishing quests, we need to collect bait, and in order to collect bait, we need to find the bait. And that seems to be a process where the whole thing kind of breaks down, right? Is this just a path to hell? I actually forget where this leads. This may have been a secondary alternate opening for me to find my way down to hell. And I don't actually remember. See, this is the problem with losing your map. You lose your way, and nobody likes that. I was told from the wiki that if I do find one of these truffle worms, that the ideal way to approach it is to use my grappling hook and then try and just keep swinging my net. So, like, grapple on top of it and then just swing, and hopefully I'll hit. And if I do, well, that's a chance to summon the fish boss, which sounds pretty sweet. Oh, we've got a sweet-looking sword hanging out in the sky here. Kind of forget that these things aren't really a challenge and probably aren't very beneficial to me, but I like fighting them anyway because they remind me of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And isn't that really good enough? Can we please move on with this cobweb scenario? There we go. Alright, fair enough. Let's look at the map real quick. I think we're just going to end up coming out at hell. But I did actually just want to, like, open up a bunch of areas. What is this over here? Some kind of weird bathtub? Oh, I just broke it. It's gone now. I guess we'll never know. Well, we're, like, not even halfway down to hell. Okay, so I guess we're actually not going to probably reach any position of interest in the remaining amount of time that we've got on today's episode. So I guess maybe we'll just wrap things up around here. You guys are going to have to help me out. Let me know what I need to do to find bait. Because it doesn't seem to be happening on its own for whatever reason. I mean, I'm finding worms occasionally, but if there's some kind of thing I need to build, or like an area that I need to set up or look for, something like that, you know, let me know what I need to do for that. Or if there's just a better option in terms of how I can achieve my goals. And what are my goals, actually? My goals are to collect items I don't have, number one. and second, beat bosses I haven't beaten, and so that would be Fish Boss, because I think that's the only one at this point that I haven't beaten, right? Well, okay, technically I haven't beaten, like, the Pumpkin Moon or the Frost Moon either, but, you know, whatever. You kind of get why, hopefully. I also haven't really spent a lot of time trying to balance my character out to the best possible effects of what's available at the patch that's current, which is, again, 1.2.4.1. So many numbers, my goodness. I might just say 1.2.4 in the future. What is that? Oh, that's a torch. For some reason, it looked like a bizarre seed pod that was glowing. How strange. I guess I haven't been to the jungle in a while, so there's going to be plenty of chlorophyte for me to mine. Remember when I didn't know how to pronounce that word? What was going on in my head back then? It was a weird time. And I don't mine all of them because they spread. Oh, you know what? I will mine all of them because I freaking didn't leave that up adjacent to a wall, so I don't think that one actually could spread. Oh, my inventory is apparently full. Isn't that a thing? Okay, let's dump out some pixie dust, because I have lots of that. And we'll pick up a Soul of Light, because those are actually useful, as opposed to the pixie dust, which I have more than I actually want. Alright, so apparently this leads back to the jungle, where there are fun and games, and we all know the joke. There's a hornet, is there any new stuff down here that I want to be aware of? Is there a reason for me to hang out in the jungle some more, other than to get the sweet axe that I've still not gotten from Plantera after all of this time and all of this effort? That's going to be another, you know, 3 or 4 episodes, just like, let's farm Plantera some more, because I've even done that already in another episode or 2. And then there's going to be the episodes that are like, let's find the sandstorm in a bottle after all of this time. Like, I really need it that badly. Well, you know, I just want it, because I want all the stuff. So that's how I go, that's how I do. It's a completionism thing. You understand, hopefully. So we're pretty firmly in the jungle now, and I don't know that we're going to find anything here that is worthwhile. You would think we would be absolutely rolling in various bait items that we could use, but it doesn't seem to appear to be that way. Maybe I could have captured that bat, I don't know. Also, they did something to temples, as far as I've heard, that maybe there's a reason why I want to hang out in these again. Like, maybe the batteries respawn or something. I don't actually remember, but I remember reading something that told me that I needed to hang out back in temples again. Maybe these guys drop batteries now, which would be pretty handy, because there was a lot of time spent starting new worlds, clearing out the temples, closing them down, leaving all of that business. And we'll test that very briefly and see if that's actually true. If I get a single battery dropping from these guys. Anybody? Oh, what's going on over here on the left? Oh, it's the lava. I saw some, like, shimmering red, and I was like, is this, Crimtane or some kind of, like, bloody crystal stuff? They didn't, you know, they don't have that in this world. This is not a Crimtane world. It would be kind of sweet if they would, like, make a build that, like, let both of them spawn at the same time, because it would be just kind of fun to not have to really be restricted like we're playing Pokemon Red and Blue, and we've got to, like, trade objects between each other. I mean, the reality of the situation is probably very few people actually do that. They probably just start up a world and wait for both. Or just let us, like, specify which one we get, right? Because what's the harm in that, really? Those things are still kind of cute, don't you think? I don't know, they're crazy lizard people, but I find them more cute than daunting or scary. And then they run at you, and they get kind of scary, I guess. Oh, see? There's one right there. I might have actually passed up another one in the past and didn't even notice. I guess the Unholy Arrow can go. There we go. Lizard Power Cells. Neat! So we've proven one minor thing today, at least, and that is that we can get energy cells from the lizard temples. And I could have probably just looked on the wiki for that information, but I chose to do it the long and complicated way. And, you know, that's my style. That's Rocklee style. So, with that, I suppose I will leave you for another day. Thank you, everybody, for continuing to watch and support the Terraria series. I'm hoping to continue to make this be a thing, but I'm going to need your support because I need to know what you want me to do on the next one. Because, I mean, honestly, I could probably just clear out my map and just keep looking for stuff for a while. But it's not super fulfilling, right? Like, I just keep wandering into areas and then not finding anything cool, and nobody really wants to watch me just wander around and mumble to myself for a half an hour at a time, do they? I don't know, maybe somebody does, but if you do, I appreciate that. Anyway, I'm going to catch you all later. Thank you again for your support and for watching and for being here in general. So let me know what you want me to do in the comments, and I will do my best to reply on the next one. I will read all of the comments. Don't worry about that. So I'll catch you all later, and I hope you have a fantastic night.